Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
I'm Andrew Koff. I'm the chair of the Conservation Commission. Why don't we do a round of introductions here, starting with Valerie.
Sure, I'm Valerie Fanger. Michelle Crable.
Kyle Welch.
Kristen Murphy.
Keith Whitehouse.
Dave Short.
Nick Campion.
Okay. I don't see any other public here other than our first action item, so we'll get right to it. We have Britt Ekstrom with Wright Pierce here to talk about the Webster Ave Pump Station Force Main Upgrade.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me tonight. As Andrew mentioned, I'm with Wright Pierce, and we are working with the Exeter Department of Public Works to design a replacement pump station for the end of Webster Ave. And I'm here tonight specifically to talk about the NHDS wetland application that was submitted for the project. Please don't hesitate to interrupt me if I'm not speaking loud enough. I know I don't always project. Good. So, quick introduction. We already did. I'm going to talk a little bit about project location, existing conditions at the pump station location, and then talk through the public project impacts and answer any questions you guys might have.
So we're just commenting on the state wetland permit. There's no local buffer impacts that are part of this because it's a municipal
Right,
project.
there's no condition, there are buffer impacts.
But it's not a conditional use permit
Correct,
because it's municipal.
because it's a municipal action.
Okay.
And municipalities are exempt from their local regulations.
Yep. So, it's a little hard to see on this map, but the do I have a map?
Oh, shoot.
The project locations indicated here. The pump station, existing pump station, is located at the end of Webster Ave, and then it's located adjacent to Wheelwright Creek, which is tidally influenced, and also the wetlands adjacent to it have been designated by the town as prime wetlands. The project generally involves replacing the existing pump station that's there. The infrastructure that's at the station has reached the end of its useful service life, and there's also a need to increase the capacity to be able to meet future demands that are anticipated at that location. Along with replacing the pump station, the existing force main, that there's currently an 8-inch force main that extends from that pump station. It's going to be replaced with a 12-inch force main along Webster Ave. And then there is also a 24-inch metal culvert that crosses Webster Ave adjacent to the pump station that is really deteriorated and needs to be replaced. So the permit application also includes impacts associated with that. All right, so a couple pictures of what the current station looks like. The picture on the right here shows the pump station building, and then to the right of that is the existing generator. The figure on the left here is an existing conditions plan. Everything that we're showing in gray is what's proposed to be demolished as a part of the project. That includes the pavement, the pump station building, the generator, and then that culvert crossing that hopefully you can see there. Another photo, just a different view of the pump station building and some of the existing pavement and turnaround area that exists out there. And then a picture of the that metal culvert that's going to propose to be replaced as part of the project. So this figure here shows the proposed project area. I'll just get up and point if that's okay.
Sorry.
Totally
No
fine.
worries. So here, this is all the gray is new pavement. The pump station building will be located here. There'll be a couple of wet wells. Those will be subsurface, but with covers at the ground level. And then a new generator over here. And this turnaround area out here is new. This was a request to accommodate like emergency vehicles or other large equipment that might need to turn around at the end of this dead-end street. And then that new culvert would be replaced in the same location over here. The layout for the new pump station was selected based on a couple criteria. One, we tried to minimize impacts to the wetland buffer if we could, although it's a little tricky here since there's so much of the site is within the 100-foot tidal buffer. Also, we needed to try to keep the existing pump station intact while the new pump station is being built. So this was all proposed to be built over here to allow this to remain in place and operational while this is being constructed. So the next figure just gets into the proposed impact areas, which I know this is a kind of a messy plan, but I'll try to point this out. The areas in red, those are the proposed permanent impacts. So impacts either associated with the building or new pavement or grading changes. So we're not changing too much as far as grades, but if there was any change, that's how we counted the impacts. The purple area are temporary impacts, so temporary areas that would need to be impacted during the construction, but then would be restored with either either grass or if in the instance here where we had existing pavement and we're going to just be putting new pavement back, we consider that temporary impact since it's the same condition. We also have some permanent impacts proposed with the culvert installation because there's going to be a head wall installed. There's not currently one there now. I guess I should point out too, we did have wetlands delineated by a certified wetland scientist. In general, the wetlands up here, adjacent to Wheelwright Creek, are the tidal wetlands and have the 100-foot tidal buffer associated with it. And then there are some wetlands down here. Those are freshwater wetlands that aren't going to be impacted as a part of the project. And then, so the new force main is going to come out of the pump station and extend down Webster Ave. A portion of that work is include down Webster Ave here is within that 100-foot tidal buffer zone, so we're permitting impacts associated with the trench construction. The majority of this construction is within the roadway, but it's within 100-foot tidal buffer, so we need to permit that. That area will be restored with pavement trench patch after the force main is installed, or in some cases maybe some of the lawns will be disrupted and those will be restored with loam and seed. So in general, the contractor for the projects can be required to install typical construction best management practices, silt fence or silt socks like this detail as an example here. Throughout the construction duration, they'll be having to do dust control if needed, and then there'll be regular monitoring throughout the construction of the project to make sure those BMPs are effective. And as I mentioned, the surface restorations proposed are typically pavement or loam and seed, with the exception of the area at the culvert outlet below the highest observable tide line. Our wetland scientists suggested we specify switch grass for that restoration area, so we'll be acquiring that on contract. So that's what I have tonight. Happy to answer any. Thank you for having me, and answer any questions that you may have.
Do you want to go back to the proposed conditions?
Sure.
Slide.
Oops.
Sorry. Yeah. Just, I think it might be useful in case folks have questions.
Sure.
What's the time frame?
So we're working to finish up the design and bid this winter, and so construction would start in the springtime of next year. It's likely that the construction duration will be probably 2 years between, maybe not active all the 2 years, but the force main construction will take some time, and then we anticipate, unfortunately, some of the components of the pump station, there's long lead time on some of the electrical items, so probably the force main will start first, and then the pump station construction will lag behind it, and then finish up in probably summer 2025.
Has this already been funded, or does it still have to go to the vote?
I don't. I don't know. I believe that the price might be higher, or the anticipated cost might be higher than what was approved. So I'm not positive. I'd rather not comment.
So something's been funded so
Yes, that's my understanding.
far. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the details on that either, but I know there are some funding sources that have been lined up associated with SRF funding and maybe some ARPA funding too related to this project.
And did I see you're doing like pauses for like migratory birds and or other things like that?
Yes.
Or you're doing workarounds for them, or explain that.
So I'm trying to remember how we scheduled that. We don't have any tree clearing, I don't think, as part of this because it's all developed area. The construction generally for the forest main would be certainly during the summertime if possible, just because that's longer days and we get a lot more work done. I don't recall that we have any specific requirements in the contract documents for migratory birds. Are you aware of any in the area or that we should consider?
Well, I thought I saw things in it. I'd have to go back and look at the 180 pages or whatever it is. But I thought that there were details in there about, things that you were doing to
Schedule.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So one of the different, there's a couple different databases we have to check as part of the process. And so one of them is through, it's called IPAC. And it's used to generate like a endangered species list. And often as a part of that, they also generate a list of potential migratory birds and that have been known to occur in the area. So in that, but as of right now, we don't anticipate any like specific time of year considerations unless they are a condition of the wetland permit.
Okay.
And generally speaking, it's not really considered an impact to migratory birds if
Okay.
you're just disturbing them outside of the nesting season. If they were nesting in the project
Okay.
area, it might trip something else, but
Okay.
that's pretty unlikely in a site like this that is,
Okay.
yeah.
So the disturbance, there's no clearing associated with this. This isn't an existing open area. Can you talk about, so I see the existing pump station. So this new area, what is it actually
The new area
that's going to be impacted? What does the ground consist of? Because it's not actually, you're calling it wetland impact, but it's the buffer to wetlands, right? It's
Right.
not an actual
So it's field area?
swamp.
So it's field area.
Is it a field? Is it?
Road and grass.
Yeah,
And,
you can actually walk or ride your bike straight at the end of Webster and go up the hill and come up behind Kerner's Car Wash. I mean, there's brambles and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if one
Because it goes right up a slope and then you're right on the car wash. Going this
yeah,
way.
so see, it's really kind
There,
of
so-
grassy area.
Right through.
Yeah, that area there is maintained as a like lawn. I just don't have a great one.
And so that's looking
That's looking towards Portsmouth Ave.
looking down that way. Yeah.
This building here is that building, and then this generator
Right.
is that. Yeah, so it's this, generally it's this kind of
Yeah.
scrubby area in here.
And so there are some actual wetland delineated impacts there.
Yeah, so
Because I guess that was what was hard to see is what's
what's an actual wetland? What's a
impact
buffer?
and what's the 100-year or the 100-foot buffer.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
I think because the state, it's all considered the same in this.
So they do differentiate between tidal wetland impacts and then impacts to the tidal buffer zone. So let's see if I can put this up. This line here is the highest observable tide line. So anything on that side is a wetland, tidal wetland impact. Everything 100 feet or less from there is a tidal buffer zone impact. So we tried to break out the impact areas here. So the temporary, so the purple, are impacts to the previously disturbed area are 7,400. And then the permanent are these red areas in here. That's 8,747. Temporary impacts to tidal waters is this teensy bit of purple over here that's just needed for access during construction. And then the red here is a permanent impact, and that's just associated with the concrete head wall that'll be installed, and then maybe some minor grading changes to accommodate that head wall. So that's how we differentiated those areas.
But then the freshwater, there's no freshwater wetland impacts on the other side.
Right, so that's those areas
and
down in here.
that was delineated by Mark Jacobs.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so you're staying out of that.
Yeah, so we are able to stay out of that.
So I know it sounded like it was recommended to have a turnaround there. Is it an engineering or a vehicle radius thing why that turnaround can't be where the existing building will be removed from?
That's a great question.
Because they probably want to build it before they remove the existing building.
Yeah,
I mean, before they remove it. Sounds like you want to do the entire project, and the last thing is the existing building comes out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they want to put the new force main in, construct the new pump station, get it all operational, and then they could disconnect the old force main and tear down the old pump station. Yeah.
So they'll need a place to turn around in the interim.
No, the big,
I think the main use for it will be, ongoing, will be for snow plowing, snow removal. Because they'll plow in and then have to be able to turn around and get back out of there.
Yep.
it's a good comment though. Like, could you have a temporary, like a gravel turnaround that gets restored once the other building gets removed? Because it does seem there's a big footprint.
Yeah, I think it has to do, and looking at this plan, I think we looked at putting it closer, but in order to have enough room for the vehicles to turn around outside of the perimeter fence, which is this line around here. So if a vehicle came in here, and then they'd have to back out, they'd have to have enough space back here to back out. Or they could do it this way or that way, but either way, they need enough room here to be able to do that.
that makes sense. And then I guess the other question I had is, I know there were maps included in the document about sea level rise and flood zones, and so are there controls on site to address protection?
Yeah, so
I know they show basically the entire site inundated. So.
Yeah, right. So the design of the pump station, we started with the current 100-year flood elevation, which I want to say is 8, but I know it's in the wetland permit. Everything, any like critical infrastructure was designed for 3 feet above that.
Okay.
And that's based on wastewater design guidance and also accommodate for future sea level rise. Yeah.
And then the culvert, I know in the, sorry, I guess I have a third one. In the document, it might have been in Mark Jacobs' report, it said the culvert was compromised, but that was just, like, it's corroded, right? It's like collapsed. It's not that it's undersized, or
Right,
is it
yes.
also undersized?
It's corroded and yeah, and collapsed. As we understand it, it receives a very small amount of flow from like an intermittent kind of brook area. So yeah, we don't have any reason to think there's any kind of a capacity issue. It's just old metal pipe that's falling in on itself. So figured, well, especially since we're going to be reconstructing the roadway in that new paved area, the culvert should be replaced as part of this project so that it's not an issue in the near future.
I have a half-baked kind of thought or question that I can't quite figure out, but I know that the Webster Avenue neighborhood recently came out in droves over the project across the street with all the runoff from that parking lot.
The golf course?
Yeah, the golf course was talking
yeah.
about expanding their parking lot. So we just want to try to be sensitive to the timeline if any work is being done on that with this. Do you know if there's any update on?
So I know they received a demo permit for, demolishing the existing building, but it does not appear that they received that quite a while ago, and doesn't feel like there's been, any push to have something happen right away.
I've heard
But they'll
mixed
need
stories about
funding.
how quickly it's going to go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This project could well be done.
Okay. Yeah, I just would hate to be, just.
But either way, they'll still need to coordinate. Both projects will need to coordinate because
Okay.
they involve Public Works. That project will need, approvals from Public Works. The pre-construction meeting, Public Works will attend. So there'll be communication. So I think that will work out, especially with this applicant being the town.
Makes sense.
Good thought, though.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So you're addressing, I feel like Allison, what would Allison say about sea level rise and resiliency of this infrastructure? Is 3 feet enough? I know that's the FFMRS standard, and have there been no issues with flooding at the current station?
I don't believe so, no. It's just, what the projected sea level rise is. I think we also, as a part of the application, took a look at some of the guidance that DS has out there now related to sea level rise, which looks at the anticipated lifespan of the infrastructure as well. So, for the amount of lifespan we'd expect for the equipment in the pump station, we accounted for that in that 3 feet.
Okay.
I would say the same thing. Have we had any 500-year floods in this town in the last 10 years or, I mean, is 3 feet cover the 500-year floodplain?
Well, the
Mother's Day?
Mother's Day flood, but I don't know.
That was a lot, 2006.
Seems like yesterday.
It was long.
A while ago. It was before me, so about that.
Yeah, probably. I don't think we
6, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the flood mapping for if the project area is even within the 500-year. Do you have that one printed by any chance?
Somewhere. Might take a bit to find it.
Oh, you have it in the map.
I have that one.
So yeah, the 0.2 is the 500 year.
Oh yeah, so that was the orange. Yeah.
So that would be orange, so it's outside of that. seemingly.
Pages up.
Oh,
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because there's some little fringe there that,
yeah, that was hard to tell. Yeah.
okay, that one's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little bit below it, but not in the project site itself. So that must be a little low area or something back there. Probably interesting.
Can't find.
Well, no, I mean, it's in the 100 year, so it's in the 500 year. What we don't know is 3 feet.
Yeah.
We're not actually answering the question we want. We want to know is 3 feet above
The 500.
500 equal to, 'cause, yeah, it's in the 500 year, because it's in the 100 year.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But what we don't know is what the 3 foot elevation, what the 500 year is relative to 3 feet.
And I think that's just because we're kind of getting away from using that terminology because
Yeah.
it sort of blew
Right, they
the
don't
metrics
mean.
out. Right. But the new DES process that she mentions does have you look at what the flood risk tolerance for this type of project is, what the lifespan of the project is, and use that to calculate how many feet above the predicted sea level rise you should accommodate. And it sounded like you did that and 3 was the magic number.
Right, and that was also
Okay.
consistent with the
Federal standards.
for wastewater critical infrastructure guidance as
Okay.
well. So I think we've got that covered for the expected life of the new pump station.
What's the approximate expected life?
For a pump station, some of the equipment will have to be replaced sooner than others, but I would say it's in like the 50 to 75 year range. But pumps and things that get a lot of use will have to get replaced on a regular basis.
It was smaller than I thought. The existing was smaller than I expected, to be honest, when I first saw it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's part of the challenge here is that initially the project looked at could the existing pump station just be upgraded and not have to do a new building. But given the condition of it and the condition of equipment in there, and then the need to accommodate a little additional capacity, it just
Not efficient.
wasn't cost effective to do it as rehab.
So this station services all of Portsmouth Ave.
Yes, yep.
So there's some main
Hospital.
gravity
Hospital,
in the
yeah.
hospital that comes down from Portsmouth Ave. That hill, the Scrubby Hill, this is a large gravity main
That feeds
that
into
feeds
that.
into the station.
Yeah, we don't show the piping on this. Yeah, there's a couple different areas. Yeah, so these pipes here, so there's this one that comes down from Portland Ave, and then another pipe that feeds in here. And then right now, the force main comes out over here on this side.
Okay, so then it'll all go over to the now infamous siphon. So it
Yes,
pumps over
eventually
to the
they
siphon.
makes its way over there. It discharges to a gravity sewer down on JD Hill, and then
Okay.
it flows by gravity down
to the siphon.
to the siphon, and then
And then gets
under
sucked
to the
across.
pump station, and then
And then
up
all
to
the way
treatment
over.
plant. Yeah.
It's complicated.
It is. Okay. So, any other comments? Okay, does anyone want to?
So there's 7 people
There's
here.
7.
So, yeah.
Guys keep neglecting to activate alternate members. So does everyone, are we going to alternate? We're going to activate alternate members. So everyone here can vote. Okay. So, does anyone want to make a motion? I'll jump in once. All right, I'll motion we've reviewed this application and that we don't have any objections to the application as proposed.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments? Deliberation? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, the motion passes 7-0.
All right. Well,
All right,
thank you all very much.
so
Thank you.
we will send a memo to Public Works. Does it get,
To the state.
or do we send it directly? Okay.
Although I did see that you had space in your binder for Concom comments. Would you prefer it go to you?
No, you can just
Okay.
send it directly. Yeah,
Sounds good.
it's just kind of a standard placeholder we have. Sometimes we'll come in before.
Before.
Depending on the application.
Great.
Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck with this big project.
You can actually leave that up, that part.
This
Oh,
part?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just grab my.
Oh, right. Good thinking.
Don't leave
I
that.
always follow the rules when we check.
Is it snow? It says snowing now. Why is it? What?
Oh.
I don't think it's snowing. It's not like she was lying.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the case. Safe travels home, everyone.
Maybe there's bugs. It's not really snow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right. Up next, we have a few other things. Committee reports. Do you want to run through some of that? Exciting news?
Sure, I could. I'll just highlight a few items. We did get the $20,000 news plate grant. I don't think we announced that yet at the Concom meeting, so that's really exciting. That won't get us the full list of remaining items repaired, but and those remaining items are clapboards and trim on the north and the west side. The stairwell that connects the interior main level to the lower level, and the fire detection system. So those are the remaining tasks after our current contract. This will get us part of the way there. I did submit a hometown grant application, which is a T-Mobile application, for $50,000, and we should know, I think, in February if we get that. We were denied. We were denied in the past. So, but I'm hoping that I learned from their comments and maybe had a better application this go round. This project was identified for deferral for this year. It was the town's remaining portion, the $56,000 or whatever it is, was in the CIP for funding, but it was recommended for deferral. So they haven't taken complete action, and the select board ultimately make decisions, but they tend to listen to what the town manager budget recommendations committee provide for a recommendation. So it's likely that will get deferred at least a year. Maybe we'll get the hometown grant funds and we can move forward this year. If not, the Moose Plate funding is still available for 2 years. So we won't lose this money, which is a good thing. But in the interim, because we have clapboards, we purchased enough clapboards to basically address almost the entirety of the project. They're stored in the barn, so we really can't have in-barn events until the project's done. So it'll tie use of the barn up, the interior of the barn up for another year and a half.
When is the work going to be finished that is funded
So,
already?
yeah, so Stephen, I think I've mentioned this before, but Stephen Bedard, he actually lost 2 or 3 of his workers. It's just him now.
I was gonna
So
say,
things are
it
going
doesn't seem like much
quite a
is
bit
happening.
slower. He is making progress, though. I think he tends to work a mix of interior and exterior, depending on, if it's raining, he'll move inside. If it's not, he'll go outside. So it's not complete this task and move on to the next, but at least that way he's still making progress. This year, he doesn't anticipate being able to finish any of the exterior, all of the exterior. It looks like the east side and I'm trying to remember what he said. The east side, the silo, and I think he will finish the south side of the barn this year. I think that's the plan.
He's down to about the windows now.
Yeah. And he's not going to, all the windows have been repaired and are ready to pop in, but he can't do that until all the window trim's finished and the clapboards are done around them. Okay. So, I don't know. That's kind of a loosey-goosey answer, but we won't get it all done, and then he'll come back in the spring. He can do some of the work in the cooler months on the inside. There's still some interior floor replacement that needs to happen. If you remember on the southwest bay, it was really bad. We always had that kind of, strung off to keep people away from it. The subfloor there has been, I think, completely replaced, and he's working on the next layer, which would be the final layer flooring there. But I think it would be a great trip if we had a day and we all went out there and you all could see what's going on. You can go at any time, with or without me, but...
So if you had a carpenter that would volunteer to put up the clapboards, is that something you would consider?
So I don't know how that would work with, if they would volunteer with him or... Because we have an existing contract, I don't know. I think it would have to work through Stephen because it's his liability insurance that covers what goes on there, and so I don't know how it would work if someone volunteered separate from that. But I don't know. I think anything we could talk about any concept there. Okay. I think having him hire more people would be great. But anyway,
that would eat into the funds, right?
So, he estimated, labor is labor, I would think, He estimated how much it would cost to complete the project, and he used however many employees he had at the time, so...
We're not paying him on a time basis. We paid him on a task.
No, we pay him on a time basis. But if two people, it is a task. You're right. It's a task. But he estimated it would take this many labor hours. So whoever's doing it shouldn't add cost to it.
He's obligated to finish certain things, whether it's just him alone or with a crew of 5 people.
So all the clapboards are part of his contract.
Yes.
So, okay. Yes. So it's not like somebody could just do those to save money.
No. And it is pretty prescriptive. I'm not a carpenter, and maybe all carpenters do this, but even so, he was talking to me about how you have to ensure the clapboards fall equally around the windows, so you don't have, more space by one window and less space by another window. So you have to kind of I don't know, maybe that's all normal everywhere, but I was like, oh my God.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You can mess it up.
Yeah.
It can be messed up significantly.
And then there are, in terms for the historic, and so there are restrictions in terms of the length of the clapboards that you can use and how you have to put them all together because you need to match the historic approach, how it was done in the past. And so he has run into a little bit of nuances because, back then it was like Yankee ingenuity. They were doing it on the cheap any way they could. And so he's having to kind of mimic that, even though maybe some things don't make the most sense. He has to kind of match, these 2 windows are slightly different sizes. This one's shorter by, 2.5 inches. So he has to keep it at 2.5 inches. So.
And that's relative to L-chip and the historic part piece of this.
Right. We have to follow the Secretary of Interior standards. But Anyway, I think it's really cool to see what's been done. It's exciting to see a lot of progress. When I talk through it with him, I always feel better because I realize how much detail is going into each task. When when I drive by every day, I'm like, oh, it's still at that level, but there is progress being made. It's just not as fast as he had hoped or we had hoped.
So on that note, like the recommendation for deferral on the CIP funding, that's going to put us out another year.
It would be March 2025 would be the earliest we could go.
Okay.
Which would mean March 2025 we start looking after that for a contractor. So
I mean, that's kind of frustrating because we have momentum right now, right? And I understand Bedard is a one-man show, but
We can't use the facility we can't use.
I mean, maybe we could move the cupboards to a portion that's not in use, and work with him to, if there's some system and how he has them lined up, like certain ones are going somewhere, just make sure we retain that and move them out of the way. We probably could, but yeah.
So in your estimation, when would the whole project be done? In its entirety?
I mean, we don't have funding, so there's no way to predict that.
You say it was all funded.
Today? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I would say we have, if his project finished on time, I would think 6 months could get us, 6 months of construction season could get us easily through the rest of it. Easily.
But we don't know what on time for him is.
Well, I mean, we have an agreement with L-Chip that we need to meet.
Okay, so what is on time supposed to be?
So on time initially was, it would have been done this December. But that was when he had more staff. And
So now what's the tentative?
And that's, I don't know. I think he said spring, but I don't have a date.
Okay. I mean, how close is he to being finished inside?
Inside's really good. All of the structural stuff is done. All of the, so if you remember, there were posts that were detached. Those have all been replaced by hand-hewn poles. All of the support beams are attached to each other, and those poles are in place. There's brackets in place to connect all of them. In the basement, he's done all the, foundation repointing, the sill repair work on the west end. Like there's a lot of work that's been done. But, and I think interior-wise, with the exception of that portion of the flooring that just needs that second layer of hemlock added, we're good to go.
Good.
Yeah.
so regardless of Steven's team, which that's unfortunate. I feel like we're going to get to a point that it's going to be hurry up, wait. Now we need to get more funding. Whereas if we had the funding, we would have had the potential to just keep on rolling through.
Except he has said that he won't extend his contract.
Okay.
I think he's really uncomfortable on working on the west side of the barn.
Oh, okay.
He's had cones run over multiple times a day, like some pretty close calls with people taking that corner. And so I think for that reason, he's not interested in working on that west side. So I don't know that he would take initially we were talking about a contract extension, as you remember, and that wouldn't happen anyway.
So he would do everything except for that west side?
Yeah, I don't know. He said he wouldn't do a contract extension. So
Now, wasn't one of the problems in hiring somebody was that there's a limited pool of people that are considered qualified to do this work?
true, but that was a much more he completed all the complicated stuff. I mean, really, it's covered in trim, right?
Yeah. So you can, because I thought L-Chip had some pretty strict guidelines for the people that did work on these projects. So you're saying that once you get through the complicated stuff, a good siding company could just finish?
as long as they follow the Secretary of Interior standards for siding replacement, which is not your average pull everything off, throw it away, and start over. It's figuring out what can be, what can be retained and toothing them in and using existing, but making it look, newish.
Like it was there all along.
Yeah.
Is there any opportunity to advocate for funding to not be deferred, or is that ship sailed? And I'm not saying from you, I would be happy to.
The budget committee is addressing the CIP items on November. I can tell you the next time they're.
Isn't it right now? Are they meeting upstairs?
No, they're doing
something
water
else?
sewer upstairs.
Okay. There's something going on up there.
It's going to be charged up there.
We're so close. Come on. I gotta wait till 2026 now.
It's this week. I'm not sure. So could you go and advocate that it? So in full disclosure, in the subcommittee, so I meet with a subcommittee first, right? And the two members of the subcommittee were very excited that there was potential to get a grant. They were, sympathetic to the fact that this project was deferred when we're so close. When we went to the full budget committee, there was that sympathy again. But
There's a grant, maybe.
well, I mean, there is, right. I don't even know if it was I think it's the potential for the funding to be deferred. The fact that they're facing, the original budget proposal was something like a 12% increase, and they tried to bring it down to 6%. So it's really just about what pieces can they delay and taking advantage of those when they could, Would I want this to be the priority on everyone's list? Absolutely. I want to just be done with Rains Barn repairs and move forward with the vision that we've had all along, since before I got here.
Right.
So what's it going to cost?
So $76,000.
76 grand.
Well, based on the estimates that we had when we first put that together.
Well, we own the material
But we have
already.
the material, so yes.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And you got a $20,000, so that's where you came up with the 56 is
Right.
subtracting the 20.
Yeah.
So you need additional.
So if we came up with 56 and some people that were qualified to do the work,
Yeah, it'd be done.
it could move forward.
Yes.
Soon.
Yes.
And we could put a bow on it.
Yeah. And I would
I guess that's why I'm
be done.
lamenting my frustration. I'm like, we're right there.
Yeah.
It works for me, so. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk further about that.
Okay. So that's that. I'm happy to talk about anything else that's on the list. Yeah. Got a $200,000 conservation block grant, which I'm super excited about.
Congratulations.
One of 12 funded nationally, which was a pretty exciting email to receive. Why don't you talk about the birding Merlin project?
Well, I just was trying to think of ways to get people I'm always trying to think of ways to get people out in the woods. And one of the things that, I'll be out for a run and I'll hear a bird that I don't recognize, and I use the Merlin app. Are you guys all familiar with that? Which is where you just start the app, and if there's a bird making noise, then it'll identify it and tell you, this is what that bird is. And so we had the idea that I had the idea of a contest that we could do maybe through the Conservation Commission Facebook page, where people would get a point for every unique bird that they could identify with the Merlin app, and you can take a screenshot, I guess, or it could be the honor system or whatever. And the goal would be to see how many different unique birds different people could get, and you could have kind of a top 10 list or whatever, or a ranking list of who had the most. And then Kristen had the idea of maybe doing it seasonally. So you start a new contest. You have one for the fall that would end, I guess, December 21st, and then you have a winter one, and then a spring one, which would kind of make it a reset, and you'd start over at zero again. But just kind of a way to get people sort of excited to get out there, and but also to start noticing kind of the stuff, because when you're looking for different and unique ones, then I think you hear a lot more.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Isn't that fun?
One of the fun things, just using the Merlin, you can play their calls, the bird call, and sometimes they'll sing back to you. So I love doing that with that app in particular. So that's
I
fun.
think I might be putting some money on you on that.
It's a cool thing. I don't know. Birding became a weird hobby.
But another thought was also a similar thing with photographs of birds too, just with some of the pictures we've been seeing. It might be kind of a cool thing just to get people into being bird nerds kind of, and just start them out. And I would see families maybe getting excited about it and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Like, I think you're the only one who can edit the Facebook page. So
I think we should add you as a contributor, and then
Okay.
you can help post too.
and
Yeah, because Ginny had access, right?
Yeah.
Second.
and like I would think this is going to be
You want
kind
to do it
of.
too?
No, I was.
You want to be a second person added?
I can't keep up with that stuff. I'm sorry.
But I would think this would be a pretty informal thing, and hopefully just fun more than anything else. Like I don't even know if we need to have any kind of a prize or anything like that, but but it would also, I think, be really interesting to see what we came up with, and
Great.
and
Great
a
information.
way of kind of surveying what's out there. So
Great idea.
so I guess you and I could maybe just kind of.
Yeah, we could we just need to create whatever kind of advertising for it and get it posted and launch it. So when do we want to target that? Like January, 1st of the year, or sooner than that, or?
That solstice.
Sure, or we wait till the spring when people are going to be more likely to, or do you think start?
Say start now. I think winter is a perfect time to learn about birds because there's so much fewer birds around that you can really start to learn about them. But
Yeah, and that could be kind of the test run too, and
Right.
then fire up for when spring comes around. And
All right, so I'll add you to the Facebook
good boy,
site
okay.
as a contributor, and we'll work on that for a January launch.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool. All right. I love it.
Just I guess, how many unique bird species do you think we will come up with? Just as
In the winter,
Yeah.
11.
I was going to say a dozen. Yeah.
That's pretty specific.
You might get more. Get a little more than that if you include. Because you have the little feeder birds, but then the woodpeckers and the
Yeah.
bigger birds too. 20.
Okay.
Do the birds of the Virgin Islands count?
No.
Okay.
Has to be
Yeah, it has to
Exeter.
be an Exeter.
Yeah.
I actually spent a long time trying to figure out what bird was, and then I realized I think it was like frogs.
Frog.
Yes.
I had the
tree
same
frogs,
issue with
yeah.
my brother. Yeah, he's like, got these birds, and I was like, frogs.
It's a chipmunk.
The catbird is what grabs my attention. The Merlin. It's like, what is that noise?
It's so annoying, yeah.
That's like my neighbor's cat, like in the tree. Like, what's going on?
And just so while we're on the record, as a biologist, I would it would be wrong of me not to say playing a bird call to attract birds, especially during the mating season, is really can really pull some of the energy and resources from what they need to be doing. But and in some cases require a permit from Fish and Wildlife. So don't do that, or at least don't do that. Be protected.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Ducks.
Who knew?
I guess then so quickly move on about the sidewalks we did for the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
How many birds?
Well, I did both of them.
Thank you.
I thought that one thing that was maybe a little significant is at the Ryder property. is not going to be open for public access. Like on the previous walk, he said, yeah, I think that there won't be parking, but if people want, but he said, no, he doesn't want anybody in there because it startles the horses, I guess. And
Well, that's changing the deal, because when we were there the first time, he just said during hunting season.
yeah, it was definitely a change in the terms, I guess. But I'm not sure how many people would have gone in there anyways, just given the lack of parking and stuff like that.
Yeah, but,
I would have.
yeah, I mean, that's not right.
Yeah, they kind of got slipped in, and Jeremy Jeremy asked him if someone called you and asked for permission, would you be willing to grant it on a one? But I'm like, well, how's that going to work? Is that he's going to post his phone number at the entrance? And I'm like, that's.
Well, what's his response to that?
He said, I'd consider it. I'd probably allow a one-time.
Well, that would change, that would change then to and just be no.
Yeah.
He's. Okay.
So that was maybe the one thing.
Jeremy had pointed out that I guess it's not fully posted anyway, so there is access to the property as it stands.
So when I went down the bank to the brook, there were posted signs facing away from where we were standing.
Yeah.
And they're all along the brook. There I saw two. So that's posted from that side.
On the roadside,
I thought I saw, yes, I went down there the other day, because we had mentioned that it wasn't posted, but I thought I saw a sign.
Yeah, it's not clear.
They got to be every 50 feet.
Yeah, this was, it was like one sign.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
But that's neither here nor there, the posted thing.
It's too late. Okay.
Well,
They would blow the whole thing up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, the primary thing we settled on was this is a
conserving.
land conservation, not a recreational property, but it does, the issue here was we didn't sign any document. He didn't sign any document ahead of us. So it is sort of a handshake thing we've been doing.
Well, it was a verbal commitment that we all heard.
Yeah.
Did hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess from my perspective, it's worth talking. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that part of it, but it's worth talking to Jeremy about.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And
I agree.
And I do agree it predominantly was being protected for conservation, and really it's just kind of finding out how important that is to you as representatives of the town. Is it enough that it pushes it to a potential deal-breaking situation? Then we need to talk about that sooner than later. If you want to ensure that that's a part of it. It's hard for me to weigh in on these because I'm not an Exeter resident. I'm not a taxpayer, so I have my opinions. But at the end of the day, it's you as a board that need to decide what's right.
Well, what we need is more information. So if you could talk to Jeremy and find out how we got there.
I think that if my recall is that what Jeremy says, they were just going to not address it in the deed, I guess, or whatever, and that way it would be kind of open to the future owner could
take the long view and say what's going to happen in 25 years.
And that's what Chris said. He's like, how much longer am I going to be here? I'm 75, 10 years maybe or whatever, and so that was kind of his take on it. And so
It's a good perspective too.
And so his concerns, I guess, were that his wife rides on those trails and didn't want the horses to be startled by people that they didn't know were going to be there. But yeah, I mean, Jeremy was the one who had the conversation with them, so it would certainly be the one to talk to. it also was, it's kind of striking between the Ryder and the Rug property.
Yeah.
One is very high conservation value
Yeah.
and almost zero recreation value.
Right.
And then the Rug property is very high recreation and, so it's like you're trying to balance the two things, especially whereas the grant was kind of a little bit competing against each other, so.
And there were comments made by, I can't remember who asked it, from the funding agencies, which of the two women who were there, about whether any trails would be closed or, something done to reduce trail density. So I take that as, that's kind of like a negative of that project in their, grant metrics.
The trail density
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah.
It is high there now. They've
Yeah.
put there's a lot of new trails on that property.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And so, yeah,
They're fun, but its conservation value is almost zero.
Right.
it's
And it's not a project ready. It's not ready.
Or I should say it's habitat value.
yeah.
Whereas for the money expended, I think the Ryder property was a good thing to do. I mean, for the money we expended,
I thought that had leverage pretty good, yeah.
100,000.
Yeah. When did Jeremy hear about the grants?
I want to say November 17th or something. It's very soon for both. So I think, and just by way of update, I don't know if we've talked about this here, but in terms of the Rug property, you remember your vote, letter of support was contingent on, land ownership issues being resolved. The property owner presented the town in the summer with a, their deed and title analysis. Oh, I was going to say that. Their title and deed analysis that, in their mind, documents how they own those properties, those parcels, 3 parcels that they have identified. We had legal counsel look at it. Our legal counsel, who was on the cusp of retirement, recommended an additional person take a look at it. I think his name is Steve Nix. His last name is Nix. I'm not sure about the first name. He is not available to even take a look at it until January. And so I know it was made very clear during the property walk with the Rugs that Derek was very concerned about that time frame. So I think just going into this eyes wide open, things would have to happen very quickly and in a very positive direction for this project, in my mind, to, get on the warrant, because the town manager and select board are not interested in putting anything on the warrant until they know what the ownership result is. And so we can't even have that discussion with them yet, because in their mind it's a step 1 and then step 2. So I don't know. I just am thinking that it's going to be a rough couple months.
Wow. That's not good.
Yeah, but
Right.
there's nothing,
Newfield's commission,
That's
they're meeting tonight
Yeah.
right now about that,
okay.
yeah.
Yep, it's, so the town's had that since the summer, and it still has not been reviewed.
Right. And you're welcome to look at it and come up with your own opinion. But
I don't
it's
have the-
complicated. It's
I don't
very
have the
complicated.
expertise.
Can I ask a question? Is the land in dispute under the town of Exeter? Is it listed on the
Yes.
assessing site under town
Yes,
of Exeter?
it was tax deeded, so it was taken for it was a tax collector's deed, and then there was a tax deed to the Conservation Commission. But the Rugs believe that that process was not the proper process to go, that they were never notified that the property was in contention. And so
They pay taxes on it. I mean, that's.
In the Red's defense, they had approached the town consistently from at least the 2012.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 2016. I don't know. It's been quite frequently through various channels. I was involved early on. This was way above my understanding. Just like you, I have zero expertise in reading titles and deeds. I did the best I could to figure it out, but it's very complicated. The ownership is very complicated in the Oaklands area.
Part of that land also was allowed to be used as open space for Forest Ridge, wasn't it?
Correct.
Which adds another element.
Right. So it's not easy. I think everybody involved wishes that we could have this resolved one way or another sooner than later. And, it is a shame that it will take until January, but there's no alternative solution. You have to do step one before you can do step two. There's no other way to do it, because until you know ownership, you can't.
Okay.
You can't begin to talk about, sale or acquisition.
Yeah. It would have been good if somebody had started work on it back when it was originally turned over.
Well, there was a lot of work that has gone into it.
No, I'm saying with the town council.
And town council did spend quite a bit of time working through it.
And their result was that we need to have someone else.
Yes.
After they looked at it
this
enough.
This is very complicated, and I would feel better if additional expertise was brought in.
And that's what's taking the time.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't that they were like, bottom of the pile, I'm not going to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Second opinion. Set of eyes.
Well, it doesn't have to be this year, right? That just means it would be pushed back till next year, right?
Yeah, but it's...
Yeah, I think in the property owner's eyes, and I don't want to speak for them, but Derek made it pretty clear on the walk that his goal was for this to make the warrant this year, and if not, he would be very upset. What that means is up to anyone's interpretation.
I think he's getting pressure from the other members of the family also. So that's it's complicated on their side too.
Yeah.
And they don't even, part of the deal is contingent upon this grant too. So
it is.
If
it's a lot of contingencies.
If that doesn't come through, then it wasn't going to happen anyways.
And when I look at the list of projects that's been deferred for the warrant this year, including Rains that we just talked about, I can't predict how the select board or town, how the select board would vote, but I think it's going to be very challenging to get this on the warrant this year with select board action.
There's not enough time.
If one of these projects were to fall through, Rug or the other one that's escaping me, Ryder, and the funds that we allocated towards that project, would that potentially be available for Rains? Not that I'm championing.
That would be up to the commission.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you spend
that's our conservation fund.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't committed anything to the Rug property.
Correct.
So it would only be the rider.
Correct.
Right. Sorry.
We've committed, I think, $100,000 out of the conservation funds for
And
that.
what was the conservation fund total?
Like $106,000 or something like that.
I was thinking in the teens, but I know it wasn't much over.
Yeah, it's not. It's a lot extra.
Yeah.
So that's depressing, but
Okay.
what's next?
Moving on.
All the mowing is now complete.
Right.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Looks great.
It's snowing.
And it's snowing.
That's right.
So Dave was able to mow everything and
Yeah,
it went well?
including Stone. So Stone Layton, which is off Powder Mill Road.
Yeah, that looks good out there.
Yeah. So
Good.
great.
I'm looking at your list here.
Yeah.
That was property. Any other property management?
No, I really haven't been out in the field. I have I've had several calls about issues with hunting.
Hunter
that
related.
I need to address. Mostly with signage, really, but
If you need some help with that, let me know.
all right. I'll give you a stack of signs.
Sure.
Yeah, the hardest part of it is really just being sure that you're on the property boundary. And other than that, it's just nailing signs in a tree.
Okay.
David O'Hearn did mention he believes it was I think he said it was a coal property, but it was east of the railroad tracks, north of Rains, and found basically like a lean-to, similar to what you had found on, I can't remember,
Whatever that property is. Cheney.
Yes. Not quite as fancy, but close. He said there wasn't a lot of trash there, but someone's got a little either hunting hut or mini cabin.
North of Rains?
North of Rains, east of the railroad tracks. So, yeah. So if you, it's actually a gorgeous, there's actually a gorgeous trail that takes you right out to the marsh, and there's
go
a
out there all the
platform.
time.
Yeah.
That's where they found it?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics, but he described it as on the coal property, which if you go north, it's, there's one bit that's Rains, and then
I know there was some, I just always thought it was like a duck blind or something, but that might be what this...
That might be what it is.
I can show you pictures if you'd like to pass them around. I can find it here.
I mean, the trail leads directly to what I'm thinking. That's not what I was thinking of.
You can pass that around.
Spend some time on that.
Yeah.
Probably a TikToker.
A TikToker?
So is
Learning
this...
how to build survival.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll defer to you guys what we want to do. If it's not,
Somebody
is
living in
that
it? Or?
No, it's just
What's the,
It's like-
no harm, no foul.
right. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's not trash. They're not bringing trash in.
It's not
But it
something
is
fun.
it a structure? It is a structure, so it does kind of,
But they haven't,
The kids do it? Or
I
is
was
it?
thinking as a kid.
I
That's
have no idea.
they didn't fell trees.
that's
That
my
looks like the
first guess.
That looks like something I would do when I was 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have some
we had
relatively new
some
neighbors down the
pretty
street. I
mean
think that might be a couple of kids that did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Well, it's better
I'll have a
than
full report next meeting.
But I I tend to have a soft spot toward this stuff because same, like that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what
what
cemented my love for nature was
being a,
building forts in the woods. So
indeed.
I don't know what to do. You tell me.
If it's the kids doing it, I think it's a healthy thing for them to do.
Yeah, leave it.
It's just,
Yeah, I guess as long as there's not trash or
Right.
people bring, like that other one had, someone brought a ladder and there was
Right.
other stuff and fabric, and I wasn't into that. But if it really is a nature structure, that's gonna fall in on itself anyways after a year or two.
Yeah.
And there aren't like cut stumps all over the place. And there has to be some gray area there, I think,
Yeah.
that we just go along with. We have other priorities.
Yeah. So I am behind on monitoring, but I will get the required reporting done. But if anyone wants to walk the property or two.
I'll walk. I walk most days.
Okay.
Same,
On your own or with me or? Okay,
whatever you like.
all right.
Yeah, I know. You assigned us stuff once, and
I
that
know.
became more work because everyone didn't follow your
The
instructions.
What are you looking for?
So basically, you read the deed, you make sure. I mean, what you mostly find is someone's wood pile is over the line, and we have to send them a letter, or you walk the boundary and you see some trash or something like that, or something that isn't worst case scenario, some expansion of someone's yard or something like that.
Well, the big one at one time was that dumpster rental place down by the mole station. Carlos caught.
Yeah.
They had extended their parking quite a ways into the conservation land. But
They
clean
pulled
it
it
up.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really just walking the properties. So the priority ones that I identify as priority are the ones that we have to report out to other entities. So LCHIP or LWCF or LCIP. We have reports that we need to turn into them yearly for about 11 different parcels. LCHIPs is basically all of quite a few different parcels in Oaklands. So if you're out there anyway, that would be a good one. They have a specific form. You just, track your path as you walk through, and then take some pictures, take points if you have a violation. Mark a point so that you know where it is within the property. Identify any actions for follow-up and turn it in.
So should we email you if we're interested in helping
Yes,
with
please.
this? Because I pretty much do that stuff anyways, so
Yes, please.
my dog makes me.
That would be awesome.
You can do it while you're recording bird sounds.
I know.
Two birds with one stone.
Yeah, literally. We're not killing them though.
We're calling.
And they can-
Leave that to me, guys.
Should have every meeting in this room. We're just killing it tonight.
Oh, yeah. You're all weak.
All right.
Okay. So we have more property management, good stuff. Trails, Eversource is still working away.
Yep.
I went up there to poke my head onto the power line last weekend. They were working.
Toby did catch some people had driven down the power line from Watson Road and parked kind of off the parking lot on the trail area. And so he contacted Eversource, and literally like the next morning they had put up all this, posts and tape, caution tape or something like that, blocking it. So they were very responsive. It was good to see.
No, that was just a complete knucklehead move, whoever did
Yes.
that.
Yes.
All right, so that's ongoing, probably for another month or two, or take
Through
a while.
December is what they originally identified.
all right. Sig Sauer Volunteer Bridge Repair Project.
Oh, yeah,
That
we had
happened?
to talk about that. Yeah, so some folks from employees of Sig Sauer reached out to Toby, and there were several. They wanted to do some volunteer time. They identified several existing bridges that were broken or needed planking replaced, and so I had reached out to Drew to confirm if it was okay, since they're just replacing in kind. Do they need to really bring it to a Concom meeting? And decided no, it's fine for them to go ahead. So I haven't heard back from Toby to see if they've done it, but anyway, so
Did I
think
see there
that's
was a
helpful.
trail day last weekend? That was something else?
That was
Yeah.
Newfield side.
That was Newfields.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's going. Trails are looking good, from what I can tell. Keith, did you go out and clean up that one off Continental? No,
I did.
Oh yeah.
you did.
Yeah, I walked the whole, that, and then the whole loop of
The Little River.
Little River, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice. Thank you.
yeah, and then the White Trail too, back to Garrison. Then that loop through, back to Continental,
Yeah.
Garrison to Continental.
Yeah.
And Allen Street. Did we talk about that?
Yeah,
You
did that
Allen
one too,
Street?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's a hero.
She had the
I
canoe.
love doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
Yeah. I would have. That would have been a good
You want
film
it?
as I slid down the hill. Yeah. I got it though. Kept persistence. You
Now,
know.
is Allen Street in between two houses?
Yeah, you do. It feels a little awkward.
So there was
to
an
start.
old dude in the backyard
Yeah.
who was. At first, I thought he was gonna be mad, and he was very welcoming. He goes, "Oh, go on down there." He said, "It's beautiful down there. You gotta see it. It's really something."
So I saw
Thanks a
someone
lot.
out
He said,
there.
I was surprised. He was like right there. I'm like, it's
Okay.
funny.
I mean, so the history with Allen Street, I know we want to keep it short, but it's important to know the way we got that property was truly a grassroots effort. The site was proposed for condo developments, and so the neighbors got together, did a lot of fundraising, some grant writing, secured the funding to purchase the property with additional funds from, I think, the conservation fund. I can't remember exactly, but it was really like a neighborhood grassroots push to get that conserved. And they installed an interpretive trail and had like benches and some other things that over the years kind of have disappeared. But yeah, they all are very friendly.
Yeah, he was
At
very.
least
He was
the
awesome.
core folks who had been there from the time it was acquired.
It's hard to tell where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like a truck, and then there's it looks like you're going in somebody's yard because you kind of are.
Yeah.
And then but you sort of wedged between 2 yards.
Yeah.
And then there's a clear trail,
Right.
and it goes out. And it's a nice view out there. It's pretty.
There used to be a trailhead marker that they put right next to Annie, I think it's Laszlo is her last name, the cape that's right at the very end of the road.
Straight up,
Is it to the right of her?
It was to the right of her, right
Yeah,
outside
it's like
the
there's one
fencing.
here and then one
Yeah.
straight, and there's like
But-
a wedge in between.
But I think it would be good to put, those 4x4 posts with the trail at the trail. Then you'd see it from the road, and
Yeah.
you just kind of walk. Because neither of them, we can't really delineate a path because it's
Private
just,
property.
it's very awkward.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's kind of.
There's a right of way, but it's only like 5 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense where the right of way was placed. So it's almost just better if you just walk toward a trailhead sign. So that could be a project that we could do.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the property, if you go around, I'm asking, if you go around the to the end of the Little River Conservation and you cross that old mill bridge,
Yeah.
and then you head out to the large swamp that eventually winds up to the basket company, but on the other side of the brook, if you keep going way out there, and
Into Connor Farm?
yeah, you can get back to Connor Farm, but you're kind of going west, and then you sort of veer back to the Connor Farm. So who owns all that? You have to cross a good-sized brook, and
So
bloody brook, I guess
Yeah.
it is, because it comes from the pond. And you can work your way along the other side of the brook back to Bloody Pond, and then to the Connor Farm.
So
So
quite a
the
loop.
easement, is it Dola? Is it not
Dolph,
Dola?
yeah. So a portion of it is easement, but there is, I think it's FGS land. It's town-owned conservation land.
Yeah, there's really
Might be where
nothing
you're
out
talking
there.
about.
This is sort of trail.
That's where I went. Actually, it was scary. I went out there with my dog, and we come around the corner, and there's 2 black bear cubs and a mama black bear, and my dog starts going after it, and I was like, oh my gosh! I just we all of a sudden
Oh, God.
got into a very bad situation,
Wow.
really quickly, and then we got out of there, and everyone was fine. But it was
Yeah.
that is probably the most remote area
It feels it has a really
of
remote
Exeter
feel out there.
that I've been, and I will not take my dog back there.
Yeah. It's cool to go out there again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's either in easement or town-owned, from the Dolph area. The easement, town-owned, or state conservation land from the Dolph area to 101.
Okay.
101. So a
It's a
huge
huge
part,
area.
yeah, a huge part of that was land that we got through the industrial complex that's out at the end of Continental.
Yeah.
And so that, and then there's, I forget what that one is, and then there's Connor Farm. But Dolph is a huge portion of it.
So basically, you're kind
on the
of,
south side of the river.
there's a whole chunk of land between Pine Road and Brentwood that comes all the way back to the Connor Farm and all the way to Continental. That looks, I mean, there's nothing out there.
Most of that is private. Yeah.
Is it?
To Pine Road, yeah. Yeah.
Coming from the Dolph easement, none of that state land or anything?
So there is conservation land around
Because it had the little markers.
around Louisburg Circle or Lewisburg Circle.
Yeah.
That's conservation land, and then there's a parcel north of that. But at the end of the town line to Pine Road is private.
Okay.
And there are some large parcels back there.
Yeah.
Webb and
Like all the industrial places. And
yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Okay. Well, good. Side discussion. Any other things? Did you attend the New Hampshire ACC conference?
Yes, I did. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Yeah. I went to like every bond, just seeing what other people did, who they got funding from. I was really interested in that. Who they tapped, to get money for funding. That's 3 sessions I went to. East Kingston, I can't remember where the other one was.
Little Big Forest, which
Yeah.
is Stratford.
Stratford.
And then the guy in Shelburne, New Hampshire, way up. But yeah, it was very interesting to see where was that gentleman from that he got the funding in a year? It was, is that? I can't.
That was a different one. That was a whole different
one.
session.
He got funding in a year for a project. He just, crazy. He just.
Oh, that was the Little Big Forest.
Little Big Forest,
Yeah.
He got funding in less than a year.
Wow.
Yeah, he just was on a mission. And everyone said his enthusiasm was so great that he just, they couldn't believe it. That was remarkable, yeah.
So with your newfound knowledge, can we get some funding for the rain barn?
I do have some ideas.
Do you?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So,
Happy to chat anytime.
yeah. Yeah. No, I do have some ideas about, I don't know if even Rugg would go forward, but, different ideas. There were different people, different funding people. I wrote down names of who they worked with on these, like the Forest Society and that type of thing. It seemed like the same names kept coming up though, but it was interesting.
Yeah, so we ended up at a lot of the same sessions.
Yeah.
But
And then East Kingston, they did it differently. They got a $4 million bond for 20 years' time. Right? They had it before, so it wasn't something new they had to put in front of the people. They had it prior to. They had $100,000 left or something in their fund, and they went in front of the town, and they said, 20 years ago you gave us $4 million, and we'd like to ask the same thing. And then they expended over. They have 20 years to spend that.
And so it's not going and raising that $4 million right away. Every time a project comes in, so town meeting gave the town authority to go and secure a bond for each project as it comes along,
As it
up
comes
to
along.
$4 million.
They don't have to put it on the bond.
So the Ryder property, for example, they can go and every 6 months you have an opportunity to get a bond, so they can get a bond for Ryder for the $100,000.
they need.
Yeah.
Oh, we did it in Stratham.
That was
years
different,
ago.
yeah.
We got a $5 million bond,
Yeah,
and same thing, just used it as needed.
as needed, yeah.
But it gave us the credibility to talk to people, and they knew that we had the ability.
You
Actually.
had the ability, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
We didn't have to wait and go to town meeting for every
Yes,
single
For
project.
every single project,
Right.
yeah. That was.
Exeter did it too.
Yeah, we did it, and that's what, if Don was here, right, he would say that, Bill, they would say, that's how we got a lot of the major.
Yep, 3.5 million.
That would be good.
And we were able to leverage it into quite a bit more than $5 million worth of property too, because we were still getting grants.
Yeah.
Still, current use was at
Sure.
the time still coming in. I don't think we touched it for a couple of years.
Yeah, in addition to that, you're getting grants too. It's not like the grants are going away.
Yeah, so it lasted us a long time.
Yeah. That was interesting. So, yeah.
Well, I guess not this year, but maybe that's something we
Yeah.
need to pursue.
Yeah.
Anything else from the Hampshire ACC or otherwise? I don't know.
Minutes.
Okay, let's do the minutes. Any comments on the minutes?
No. Fine.
Seem fine. All right, I'll motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll abstain.
Okay,
I wasn't here.
okay.
Second?
I wasn't here either.
I think you can vote on them even if you aren't part of them.
Really?
You can, as long as you did your
I
due
read them.
diligence and feel like.
But if you don't, I'm not pressuring, we can just table it.
Yeah.
Let's,
You still have quorum even without that, so 1, 2,
Just
3.
do the floor.
we have 4. Yeah, okay. All right, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that was 4. We have 3 abstentions.
Correct.
Okay. I didn't say all those opposed, say nay, but there weren't any. Okay.
But
All right.
we were all abstaining.
We're all abstaining. Excellent. And anything else? Otherwise, I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.